How was camp? Obviously, you've been here a couple times. What feel calmer, more relaxed, going to know what you're doing going out there?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit more relaxed. It's a kind of an upbeat camp this year. Obviously, the first day we had 2 skates and 2 lifts, which was more than we usually do. So camp got off to a good start, and I think the guys are starting to shake the rust off and get after it a little bit.
How was that 2 a day? That's a little bit more than we've done in the past here, right?
Yeah, that was a little bit more. I think the first one was just a cardio session, and by the end of the day, your legs are pretty tired. So, the games are. Everyone's kind of competitive too, but everyone's also a little tired, so it makes it interesting.
The team has had Lee Harrison here to work with you guys on some skating. There was a lot of that yesterday. It's probably a little painful, but what's the importance of doing that kind of work?
It's huge. I mean, anytime you can, work on your edges and work with a guy like Lee, it's really important. He brings a different perspective to skating, and I think that's something that not a lot of guys bring to the table, and I think it'll help a lot of guys here.
You kind of came of age when the league changed back in 2006 or whenever it was. You were a kid. You're probably among that first class that, as a big guy, you know that you have to skate well to make it in the game. How much has that been an emphasis in your development from the time you were a kid? I'm sure you probably knew your parents knew you were going to be pretty big. How much emphasis is skating, being a good skater, been?
It's been huge. I mean, it's kind of funny when I was younger. I grew so fast that I never really thought of myself as a big guy. So I was always trying to keep up with the little guys. I didn't really realize how fast I was growing. So that's kind of been an emphasis. Foot speed. As you see the game change, it's not like it used to be, and everyone's got to be able to skate. And I think that helped. First of all, playing on the big ice sheet at Minnesota. You need to be able to skate, and these guys are great at it. And as you get bigger, Nelson and Kevin Collins, they work on building muscle that makes you faster, not just building bulk that makes you slower. So I think they got it figured out here, and it's a good situation.
When you were saying were you a late bloomer as far as growth, or it couldn't have been that late because you've been big
No,
for a few years.
not necessarily a late bloomer. I grew so fast. It was like my freshman year of high school. It was like 6 inches or something like that. So when you're always looking out at people, you don't realize how tall you're getting. So it happened really fast, and that was kind of the adjustment. I'm still growing in my body, and it's a process.
Did I don't know, are your parents real involved, or you have other family members that were in hockey before you?
My dad played Division III out in Connecticut. So he's always, he's kind of the level head, and he always, gives me advice. Not overbearing, but he helps. And then my uncle played a little bit for the Rangers and the Whalers, and his one piece of advice every year is just get better every year. No matter what you're doing, if you're having a good year, bad year, tough year, whatever, just make sure every year you're getting better, because it's a long process. So that's kind of something I keep in the back of my head.
Did anyone, like you said, you sounds like you were cognizant of knowing you needed to, as you got bigger, to be able to skate well. But did anyone kind of push it, like look, if you really have aspirations of playing at a high level, you have to be able to skate now when you're 6'4", 6'5"?
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that was ever, really pushed on me. I've been lucky to work with some good trainers, and I work with a man named Jack Blatherwick since I was a young kid, and he would have Jordan Leopold would skate out there, and he would buy ice for us kids, and we'd watch him, and he's always been obviously a great skater, so we kind of imitate him, and kind of learned after how he trains, and he puts a huge emphasis on skating, so did we.
You look at Carlson, who's obviously here. I think you guys are in different groups, but good skater as well for a guy, man, his size.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was cool to see him. Obviously he's a tall, thinner guy, but he moves incredibly well. And to see him play in the playoffs, he proved that being mobile is very important. And if you're mobile and have a good stick, you can play in this league. And both of us still have an opportunity to grow into our bodies a little bit more, but I think we both have that focus on mobility being important.
You watched some old games even from the 90s, early 2000s, and noticed how different the position used to be?
I don't see. I used to watch some of those games. The NHL Network used to have some of those throwback games, but I definitely agree. You see more defensemen take over the game that are mobile defensemen. Like you watch the playoffs this year, every defenseman out there. Pittsburgh and Nashville, like, Roman Josi, Ryan Ellis, those guys, they can all skate incredibly well. And, it's important all year, but especially in the playoffs, to be able to move your feet and to put yourself in a good position to make good passes.
What's
your uncle that played for the Rangers and Whalers? Did you say?
Yeah.
Who?
Jim Warner. Played at Colorado College, and then played a few years.
This is obviously the first year that we've seen you now. You finished last year in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Just your kind of goals coming into this season, your first real professional year coming in?
I just want to be a sponge. Anytime you come to a new level, whether it was making the jump to Ann Arbor when I was a junior, or going into college, or coming here, you want to be a sponge. And it was good to get 5 games under my belt and be around some of those guys. I spent a couple weeks here last summer with Dubinsky and Boone Jenner and see the way they train. It's incredible to see, at the next level how these guys train, how they handle themselves. I think that's the biggest thing, is just be a sponge and make sure you're learning everything you can from these guys.
What's your what are you really trying to, maybe if there's 1 or 2 things you're trying to really work on this season in your development, what would they be?
I'd say taking away time and space. It's different at the next level, and professional defensemen are, if you watch closely, they're really good at doing more with less. They move their feet maybe less, but they take away space better with their stick positioning and their footwork. So I think that's something I really want to work on. And then obviously just puck handling. It's as important as ever to make a good first pass.